Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your true heel phenom, SP3. No, this is not the 3 count. No, this is not a show review. And no, I'm not going to give you another wrap up of a year-end review for 2019. No, I am hitting you to start off 2020. We have to wrap things up on the gift that was professional wrestling in the decade of the 2010s. From 2010 to 2019, so much has changed throughout the wrestling world. Whether you're a WWE fan and you've seen basically the era of John Cena come to an end, you saw the false start era of Roman Reigns begin. You've seen Becky Lynch as the rise of the man. You've seen Ronda Rousey come into the WWE. If you're a fan of Japanese professional wrestling, you saw Hiroshi Tanahashi rise to stardom at the start of 2010 and become the ace of New Japan. You saw Kazuchika Okada start off from young lion and a bum in Impact Wrestling all the way to the biggest star in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You saw the rise of Kenny Omega and the exit of Kenny Omega. You saw Kota Ibushi start off as the best junior heavyweight in the world to one of the best heavyweights in New Japan and in the world. So much has happened. So we got to break everything down. We got to talk about all that was 2010 through 2019. So for January 1st, 2020, I am giving you one of our first videos of the new year for True Hill Heat's YouTube channel, which is the top 5 wrestlers of the decade. Top 5. I would have done top 10, but honestly, it's a lot of information. A lot of information that we got to give you guys. We have to give you reasoning because I've seen a lot of people just name their top 5 wrestlers of the decade, kind of just give you the list and not really explain the reasoning why. Why is R-Truth ahead of Jack Swagger on your top 100 wrestlers of the decade? No one is going through the information that you need to find out why these wrestlers were chosen. So why am I picking these particular 5 as the 5 best, the 5 very best of the last 10 years? Well, I did it by a certain bit of criteria. So I did it on accolades and accomplishments, the titles that they won, as well as the awards, the critically acclaimed awards that they received. I did it based on their name recognition and their impact to their company. So their name recognition is how often, as a wrestling fan, you saw these names in the past 10 years and their impact on their companies. Did they elevate their companies or did they help out their companies in a very significant way? And thirdly, their impact on the industry. The industry that was defined, in my opinion, by these 5 professional wrestlers. If I would have done 10, the 5 that I said along with these 5 guys, I'll start from the very top, a guy that really was close to breaking my top 10. I got to talk about Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, in the last 10 years, has had quite the journey. He started off in Ring of Honor as the ROH World Heavyweight Champion, came into the WWE developmental system and won every single title in FCW and was the inaugural NXT champion. He had his era with the Shield as a World Tag Team champion, as well as the Shield taking over basically the entire WWE universe. He betrayed the Shield in one of the best heel turns in WWE history. He went on from there to win the Money in the Bank and win the WWE Championship, and then won the WWE title about 2 more times after that, as well as the WWE Universal Championship. He was a U.S. champion, an Intercontinental champion, a tag team champion. When it comes to accolades, nobody has probably the list of accolades that Seth Rollins has. Seth Rollins did fall a little bit short when it came to accolades. His critically acclaimed accolades were not as much as the guys that I'm about to name right now. So that kept him away from the cusp. And his impact on his company, unless we really are like putting a microscope on his time in the Shield, I feel like Seth Rollins really lacked in his impact on the company as well as his impact on the industry of professional wrestling. So that's why Seth came just a little bit short from breaking our top 5. Another guy that was definitely on my list, Danny O'Brien. Danny O'Brien is, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest professional wrestlers in the world, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. He is a genius in the ring. He started off this decade coming into WWE and had a hell of a first year with WWE, coming in as a part of the Nexus and getting fired after the initial attack by the Nexus. Then he got rehired, had a feud with The Miz, won the United States Championship. From there, a few years later, he won the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashing in Money in the Bank at the end of 2011 and starting the Yes Movement, basically. The long journey for the Yes Movement started with his cash in where he did the Yes, Yes, Yes. Of course, was elevated even more by the 18-second loss against Sheamus at WrestleMania in Orlando. And then from there, the Yes Movement, which led us all the way to WrestleMania 30 with one of the most emotional crownings of a champion in history. But of course, with Daniel Bryan, we have to account for his 3-year break due to concussions and neck surgery. So that is what kept him out of our top 5. Another guy we got to name, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, no one has reinvented themselves so many times in the past decade, quite like Chris Jericho. Another guy that I have to name is Chris Jericho's opponent from last year's Wrestle Kingdom 13, Tetsuya Naito. Tetsuya Naito started off as the white meat babyface of the future Hiroshi Tanahashi for New Japan Pro Wrestling. The fans rejected that, but unlike Roman Reigns, who the fans rejected in WWE, and it took a terminal illness to convince the fans otherwise to stop booing him, Tetsuya Naito got a transformation from a very white meat babyface to an aloof anti-hero who just didn't give a fuck. His whole character is that he just does not care. He just does not care. He doesn't give a flying crap about anything. And he has become one of the biggest stars in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's a merch mover, a guaranteed draw for New Japan. Tetsuya Naito is well deserved of a top 10 spot. And number 10, I had to give my number 10 spot to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, as I said, he started off in the Shield with Seth Rollins and has had quite the journey. He had a 4-year continuous push where they wanted to make him the face of the company and the new John Cena. They failed time and time after again until eventually, of course, terminal illness caused the fans to finally get on his side. But Roman Reigns, a 4-time WWE champion, a Universal champion, Intercontinental champion, US champion, Tag Team champion, accolades, as well as his impact on his company, he's huge on. But as far as the impact on the industry, that's where he comes a little bit short. So I gave you my 5 that just missed the cut for our top 5 wrestlers of the decade. So we're going to start off with number 5. Number 5 is one of All Elite Wrestling's key acquisitions of the start of 2019. And this man is, in a lot of people's eyes, the greatest wrestler of the past decade. Yes, I am talking about the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is in my eyes, pound for pound when it comes to professional wrestling. No one has the quality of performance quite like Kenny Omega, and no one really thinks about their matches quite like Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has had some of the most thrilling, scintillating matches, especially in the past 3 years, where he became the leader of the Bullet Club back in 2016, and ever since then has blazed a blaze of glory through New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just his accolades and accomplishments in New Japan. He of course was a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, defeating Kazuchika Okada back on June 9th, 2018 to end the historic run of the Rainmaker and to become the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Finally, he was a former IWGP Intercontinental Champion. He was the first ever IWGP United States Champion, 2-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, a former Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion with Kota Ibushi and the Golden Lovers, a former Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Champion as well, winner of the G1 Climax 26 in 2016, New Japan Pro Wrestling MVP in 2017, and he's won countless countless best bout and match of the years. He had the match of the year in 2006 from New Japan against Tetsuya Naito, in 2017 against Kazuchika Okada. Across the board, from CBS Sports, Sports Illustrated to Wrestling Observer, all had 2018 match of the year as Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada at Dominion in 2018. So this man, when it comes to his accomplishments, his accolades, his impact on the company that was New Japan, he was the lead gaijin. He was the guy that was supposed to be the face and the forefront to New Japan coming over to the U.S., where right now in the United States, New Japan is probably considered second or the third biggest promotion in all of professional wrestling in a country that it's not even based in. So Kenny Omega can hang his hat on that accomplishment altogether, because that all has to do with him, his impact on the industry. He changed the way matches were rated by a lot of different people. My Uncle Dave Meltzer broke his scale system, stopped doing 5-star ratings, and started doing 6 stars because of Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada's classic first time ever matchup back at Wrestle Kingdom 11 in 2017, which got the 6-star rating. And then he had 3 other sequels with Okada that got 6 or more stars. Impact on the industry, he just put the whole industry's eyes on New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Kenny Omega is well deserving of this spot, even before we get into everything that he did with All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling being one of the EVPs and creating a whole new promotion, and a promotion that seems like its biggest goal is to just challenge the king that is WWE. His impact on the industry is probably on par or better than everyone else I have on this list, but he comes in at number 5. That tells you about the quality of the following 4. Coming in at number 4, we're going to talk about John, or should I say like my boy Justin Roberts, Cena. John Cena, yes, the 9-time WWE or World Heavyweight Champion in this decade alone. He is, yes, a 16-time heavyweight champion or WWE heavyweight champion, but in this decade alone, 9 times, more than anyone else on my list has won any title, any title on this list. John Cena has won the WWE and World Heavyweight Championship 9 times. He is a Sports Illustrated Muhammad Ali Legacy Award that has to do strictly with his work outside of the professional wrestling ring, but it's definitely worth mentioning. He is a 2-time United States champion and had one of the best runs as United States champion back in 2015 with the U.S. Open Challenge. He is a Royal Rumble winner in 2013. He is a Money in the Bank winner in 2012. And he was a part of the Wrestling Observer newsletter Hall of Fame. He is a Hall of Famer for Wrestling Observer already. John Cena has accomplished so much, and his star power and his transcendentness of the business is, I can't even go into it anymore. I can't compliment him anymore to live up to the amount that he has impacted the entire industry. He has gone mainstream, and he is in Hollywood now, really due to his lack of performances in 2018 and 2019 is why he falls so short on this list. That's why he comes in at number 4. He probably would be 2, 3, even pushing for number 1 if he completed this entire 10-year period as a performer, but he has kind of transitioned to the next part of his career. But John Cena, well deserving of the number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3, we got to talk about the ace of the world, the John Cena of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yes, we got to talk about Hiroshi Tanahashi. Hiroshi Tanahashi, in this decade alone, he is an 8-time overall IWGP Heavyweight Champion, but in this decade alone, 4 times Heavyweight Champion for New Japan, IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He is a 2-time IWGP Intercontinental Champion, 2-time G1 Climax winner in 2015 and 2018. 2018, probably the best run of anyone that ever went through and won the G1 Climax. Hiroshi Tanahashi had classic performance after classic performance. New Japan MVP in 2018. 2018. The man was 40. In 2018, this man was 42 years old and he won the MVP of the entire company that hangs his hat on work rate. New Japan, Tokyo, excuse me, gotta edit that out too, 16, and 15:50, 16-minute mark, edit that out. Yes. Tokyo Sports MVP in 3 times, actually, in 2011, 2014, and 2018. 3-time Wrestling Observer Wrestler of the Year from 2011 to 2013. He dominated and brought New Japan Pro Wrestling to the next level. New Japan Pro Wrestling started off this decade as basically still recovering from a long 10-year period where it just diminished in value. They had the run with Brock Lesnar becoming the IWGP champion and basically holding the belt hostage, where they had to do a lot of partnerships with places like TNA and other places in Mexico, which really did not appreciate the history and the prestige that is New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he got them from the bottom and took them all the way to the top. His work rate, his accolades, his accomplishments, his impact on his company, but overall his impact on the industry is why Hiroshi Tanahashi has his spot. He's also a Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion, winning the title in 2019, and another person who is a part of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame. 43 years old now, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Bravo, sir. Bravo. Well deserving of your number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, we got the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. This is not the house that AJ Styles built, but in a lot of ways, not SmackDown isn't either. It's really TNA Impact that is the house that AJ Styles built. And we got to start off his accolades with mentioning that. He started off this whole decade as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. He is a 2-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion in this decade alone. He was a part of the first ever big show that TNA had on Spike TV on January 4th, 2010, where he defeated Kurt Angle. And all the way from then to now, he has blazed a legacy unlike anything other. He was the face that runs the place, pun intended, in TNA Impact. He went from there and really had a revolutionary run in independent pro wrestling, where he became a legitimate draw in the wrestling business for the first time in his career, really coming up big for places like Rev Pro as well as Ring of Honor. He was really running the independents and really took the Bullet Club to the next level when he came into New Japan Pro Wrestling and joined the Bullet Club as its leader in 2014. And then from there, a month later, he became the IWGP Heavyweight Champion for the first time ever. In this decade alone, he is a 2-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion, defeating Kazuchika Okada as well as Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's one of the rare people on this list, along with Kenny Omega, who has accomplished that goal alone. He is a 2-time TNA, 1-time TNA. Gotta edit that out. Fuck. Okay, so 15:50 to 16:10 and 19:00 to 19:40. Edit out. Cool. All right. He is a 1-time TNA TV champion and a 1-time Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion, defeating Marty Scurll during his independent run. He is the first TNA Triple Crown and Grand Slam winner, which he has accomplished those goals multiple different times, winning titles on different occasions. A TNA World Tag Team Champion with Kurt Angle in this decade. 3-time WWE United States Champion and a 2-time WWE Champion with over a year-long run back from 2017 into 2018. 2-time Wrestling Observer Wrestler of the Year from 2015 to 2016. And Match of the Year for Wrestling Observer in 2014 versus Minoru Suzuki. He was the US/Canada MVP for Wrestling Observer in 2018, and another person who was a part of the Wrestling Observer Newsletter's Hall of Fame. Already still active on the WWE roster, he is a part of the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. AJ Styles has had quite the amazing career, really becoming a top guy in 3 different companies, 4 if you count Ring of Honor. He is amazing. It's amazing how much he has impacted the industry by being in all these different companies and accomplishing the goal of becoming a top guy or a draw for each and every one of these companies. AJ Styles, in a lot of people's eyes, is #1 wrestler of the decade. I think the impact on the industry kind of trumps everyone else because of how often he has been able to elevate his game and elevate his companies. His impact on his promotions has been amazing, being a top guy for all these places. And of course, as we listed, the accolades, the accomplishments is amazing. AJ Styles really made this a tough list. My #2 and #1, very much centimeters. If you guys have AJ Styles as your #1, I would not argue with you. Any one of these top 5, I would not argue with you being the wrestler of the decade. But in my eyes, there can only be one. One Rainmaker. Yes, coming in at #1 is the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. Kazuchika Okada. I started off this decade, I think it was this decade, seeing Kazuchika Okada as playing the Asian dude from Green Hornet in TNA. From there to ending this decade and telling you fine folks, our subscribers for True Hill Heat, our first-time viewers, that Kazuchika Okada is the #1 wrestler of the decade. If I spoke to 2010 Sid or 2010 SP3 before I was SP3, he'd be like, first of all, who the hell is SP3? And second of all, the Asian dude from TNA with the Hornet hat with the green mask is going to be the wrestler of the decade? You bugging, son. You bugging. But 2010 SP3, it is what it is. Kazuchika Okada is #1. Five-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champion with a record-breaking 720-day title reign. I'll repeat that. 720-day title reign from 2016 to 2018 with 12 different title defenses across that 2-year period. Kazuchika Okada, alone with that accolade, deserves a spot on this list, but it gets better and explains why he is #1. He is a 2-time G1 Climax winner, winning the tournament in 2012 as well as 2014. 2-time New Japan Cup winner, winning it in 2013 and 2019. Tokyo Sports MVP 4 times, 2012, 2013, 2015, and 2019. 7-time Tokyo Sports Best Bout Award winner. 6 years straight from 2014 to 2019. Wrestling Observer Wrestler of the Year in 2017. 4-time Wrestling Observer Newsletter Match of the Year in 2013 against Tanahashi, in 2016 against Tanahashi, and in 2017 and 2018 against Kenny Omega. He's had Feud of the Year. Okada, when it comes to accolades and accomplishments, he's bar none. He's #1 as far as the critically acclaimed and as far as his accomplishments for his company. The New Japan has made it clear Okada is the horse they are riding. They are riding it until they are off into the sunset, and Okada is leading them that way. You see the gold shine is the light that they're following, and Okada is the horse racing along and beating everyone to that light. When it comes to his impact on his company, Okada has been the main event and the top guy for the company on some of its biggest profitable years of the last 3 years. The last 3 years have hit new peaks for New Japan business, and Okada has been the mainstay and the top face of it all throughout this period where they have getting bigger profits every single year. As of July 2019, for the period from July 2018 to July 2019, New Japan Pro Wrestling made a profit of over $50 million, and Okada is the face and the guy who I have to give the most credit for it. He was the champion for most of that time and most of that run, so Okada is well deserving of that. His impact on the industry, he has changed professional wrestling matches, and he has critically acclaimed analysts as well as former wrestlers and fans calling him the greatest professional wrestler they have ever seen. Okada takes skill, technique with counterwork, with technical capabilities as well as high flying and just how to intricately place spots in different matchups and simple spots. His drop kick is considered one of the best moves in professional wrestling. It's a drop kick. A drop kick, which was a transition move, has become one of the key parts of every Okada match. I was at the G1 Supercard in April of this past year at Madison Square Garden for that historic event. And as I'm watching Jay White versus Okada, people are on the edge of their seat, like getting into the near falls and stuff. And all I told some guy in the row in front of me is, don't worry, the match is not going to be over until Okada hits a drop kick. This was like 15 minutes into the match, and in a 35-minute match with about half of the match left, he hit about 4 drop kicks in the last half of the match. Drop kicks have become a great maneuver again, all because of Okada. Okada has had classic matchup after classic matchup in the past 10 years. He's had 2 era and decade-defining feuds in this decade as well. His decade-defining and company-defining feud with Hiroshi Tanahashi, which had made him from a guy coming in from his young lion period and his study abroad in Impact Wrestling, coming in with no one having confidence in him. And then he pulled the upset of the decade, defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi in 2012 to win the IWGP Heavyweight Champion for the first time. He fell to Tanahashi twice after that, but came back with fierce aggression a year later and regained the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And even though it seemed that he had Tanahashi's number, then at Wrestle Kingdom 9, Tanahashi pulled off the big win, his second straight victory over Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, and Okada cried. Okada cried. That's probably the toughest any wrestler has ever been seen crying. He looked like he was heartbroken because he lost to Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 9, which made his victory at Wrestle Kingdom 10, finally defeating Tanahashi at the Tokyo Dome, even bigger and even sweeter. And then from there to his now, I would say, era and industry-defining feud with him and Kenny Omega. Him and Kenny Omega took the art of professional wrestling to a whole nother level, where it became movies. You felt like you were watching a movie with each and every one of these matchups. 47 minutes at Wrestle Kingdom 11, where Kenny Omega could not hit his finishing move, the One-Winged Angel. It became a story about how many ways can Okada escape the One-Winged Angel. Then from there, they took it to a whole nother level with a 60-minute classic draw at Dominion in 2017. Then took it in a whole different direction with a 30-minute time limit, jam-packing so much action, so much counter work, and extreme pacing into their third matchup that was only 27 minutes long. And then from there, a year later, in 2018, the classic 65-minute 2 out of 3 falls matchup at Dominion 2018, where Kenny Omega finally defeated Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. No one has 2 feuds that define both their company and the industry quite like Kazuchika Okada, and that is why he is number 1 for our top 5 wrestlers of the decade. So, that was a lot to get into and a lot to break down and give you. Post your comments down below and tell us what you think about my top 5 wrestlers of the decade. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think someone not on this list is well deserving of the number 1 spot, or someone that's not on this list is deserving of a spot on this list? Press the like button if you enjoyed this video, and push the subscribe button and stay notified for all the great videos and content right here on True Heel Heat. So until next time, it is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. Happy New Year, happy 2020. Signing off until next time.